Hey guys, we are live. This is Jennifer from the Shooter's Mindset. I've got my co-host here, Greg Cannon. How's it going?
Hey everyone.
And tonight, this is episode 326 of the Shooter's Mindset, and this is going to be a really cool show. We've got the International Precision Rifle Federation with us. So we've got representation from a couple different countries. We've got Marcus Olsen from Sweden,
Hi.
Rob Ramsden from South Africa,
Hey guys.
Tiff Drew from Great Britain,
Hello there.
and Scott Satterley from the US of A.
How's it going?
It's going good. How are you?
Good.
All these guys, well, not Scott, it's a regular time for Scott, but all these guys are up in the middle of the night to talk to us. So it's going to be a good show. And I anticipate we're going to have a lot of questions, but I really appreciate them being willing to get up in the middle of the night and do this with us. So for those of us that are unfamiliar with you, we're kind of going to do a round robin. Can you start by each of you telling us a little bit about yourself and how you got started in competitive shooting and how you got involved with the International Precision Rifle Federation?
All right, who wants to kick this off? Marcus, go.
Should I start? Well, okay. I started competing with long range shooting, like I think it's 8 years ago or something, and that was after I lived and worked in Australia for about a year, and got home and wanted to continue shooting, and I got into field target, not field target, but field shooting matches, unknown distance, paper targets, and then I shortly after that attended my first, all steel match, and we didn't have a lot of those in Sweden. So I figured if I want to shoot some more matches, I better get organizing my own match and hope others follow. And that was the start of one of the things I co-created was the Viking Rifle Series, and now we have, I don't know, 12 or 16 matches, something like that. I can't remember, all over Scandinavia, which I also compete in. And well, yeah. Little hobby turned into an obsession, and I went over to the States and shot a match there and shot in Ireland, and been doing all right. So it's
How'd
pretty
you
much
end
all
up
I do
involved with all of this?
now. I don't know, Rob and I, we were all talking and complaining about stuff, and each nation's federation about how gun licensing and laws and stuff like that, and wanted to make the sport of precision rifle into something more internationally recognized. And well, to do that, we needed an international organization, and a good way to start that off was with a world championship. And Rob was like in early 2018, but let's do a world championship in 2019. Like, dude, that's like 9 months away. Turned out we needed a little bit more time than that. So
And then COVID happened, I'm sure.
yeah, that also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Rob, how about you tell us a little bit about how you got into all the shooting and into this?
I had a really bad accident and I turned my leg around and I was lying in bed for I think about 3 months, staring at a ceiling, like a really small, those walls just come in on you. And I started reading on the internet and stuff like that. And Zach Smith at the time was doing all those cool articles, not so much videos and stuff. He was just kind of doing a couple of videos with Ray Sanchez. And I ended up going on a trip after that to Denver. And I said, you know what, Zach's like close by here. Got him on the phone and said, hey man, how about we do an intro to long range? And started out from there, and was like totally fell in love with it at the time. Ordered an AI from Sporting Services in the UK, had that imported to South Africa. That sat in a cupboard for like 6 years, I think it was, just about. And then I got back into it. I was starting to shoot 3-Gun Nation, and I went over to I borrowed one of Zach's matches. It was that epic match where we had 22 degrees Celsius during the day. And the first day, that night it dumped 2 foot of snow, and the guys carried on shooting the following day. So I was hooked. And came back to South Africa. We ran the first match in I think it was October of 2015. And I was dealing with talking to Sean Wiseman back then. We joined up with a PRS back then and got the ball slowly rolling, and started talking to Marcus and Tiff and to some of the guys in Australia, and basically trying to get our feelers out to how PRS kind of, so precision rifle worked around the world. And anyway, it's kind of snowballed from there. And we realized we needed in South Africa to be part of a sport, you've got to be part of the National Sport Shooting Federation. It's kind of like this whole international sports framework. That was a big lesson. Wow, that was a huge lesson in kind of like trying to work out how the structures worked over here. And then the same thing rolled out. And during that time, I was talking to Marcus and Tiff. And yeah, suddenly like, well, we need a federation, an international federation. And how does that work? Well, we just kind of built it.
That's awesome. Tiff, how'd you get involved in all this?
Yeah, there's a question. Well, I was climbing.
It's always loaded, isn't it?
It is always loaded. Yeah, I had this crazy South African give me a call. I was climbing a mountain in Madeira, I think it was, sort of out in the Atlantic Ocean in 2018, yeah. And I was on the side about, not very high, about 1,500 meters or something. And then this guy called Rob gave me a call and started talking about precision rifle and didn't really stop talking. And about an hour later, sort of hanging on the side of a mountain, decided he's obviously keen and I'm keen and let's make something happen. So yeah, kind of snowballed from there. We soon learned how much international phone calls cost. Don't call a guy in South Africa from another country on the side of a mountain. It gets really expensive really quickly. So that was my most expensive ever climb, at about £400 for an hour. But it was great fun. And it went from there, really.
Yeah, internet calls. I remember. Yeah, I remember the first call I had with Rob too, as it came off it, and Diana's like, "You can't do that anymore." That was $400, right, for a phone call. I was like, "Okay, it's got to be internet." So
that's crazy. Yeah, like FaceTime Messenger or something.
WhatsApp. I think that's
WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger.
But now, I had to turn. So everybody thinks I'm ignoring them, but I just have my phone on silent mode because these guys start talking at 2 a.m, right? And my phone is lighting up and buzzing on, so I'm like, throw that thing on the ground and, step on it. And it's like, it's because they're outnumbering me, right? So they're all, 8 hours ahead, and I'm, 8 hours behind. So they start talking in the morning and it's like, God, guys, come on, I need some sleep. But so just to kind of segue in, I started shooting as a kid in CMP program, 4-H, stuff like that, and then joined the military. And then when I came back from an overseas tour, I actually shot my first steel match. I was shot high power as a kid, and I started getting back in high power when I got back. But my first steel match was the first Mammoth Sniper Challenge, which is we call ourselves the Frozen Chosen. It's 2010 January is the first one. Is like 5 degrees in Kentucky and blowing snow, white targets. Joe Harris was the match director. I mean, he was yelling and screaming at us, and we were just like what in the hell did I just get into? But anyway, I think what did it for me after shooting paper for so long, as soon as you shoot steel and you get that instant feedback, it's like a little hit of crack cocaine. Not that I've ever done that before, but I mean, it's one of those things. It just sticks with you, and then you just want to keep shooting steel. And that was what kind of hooked me on the whole shooting thing. And then Ryan Castle, Tom Lancaster, and I ran team matches under Precision Multi-Gun 2010 and 11. And then when the Rich Emmons kind of reached out to us when the PRS first started up 2012, and we ran the third match, I think, in the series. I think that year there was only 7. Since then, it's just been, kind of a whirlwind of activity as far as, being competitive and running matches and trying to have, some influence out there as far as, trying to direct how and what we're doing, so and then we all met up in Ireland at a bar, and we started talking about this. And the next thing you know, I'm the president, and I don't know how that happened because I didn't volunteer, but here we go. So
yeah, you got volunteered.
That's kind of how that went
was
down.
like
I got voluntold is what happened, right? That's okay though. And it was one of those things where, you see how much these countries are struggling just to have a sport. And it was one of those things, like anything I can do to help, a framework, right? So, you look at UK or Ireland, and if they put a rifle up on a barricade with a bag, that's paramilitary training because they don't have a sport, right? As soon as they get a recognized sport, then they'll be able to actually do that kind of stuff and not get thrown in jail for it. So,
Wow.
and same thing in South Africa and, a bunch of other countries that kind of need that sport framework in order for it to be kind of a legitimate thing. And they're not trying to be QAnon or something like that, try to overthrow the government. So
I think we take for granted, here in America that we can just go out and do everything that we do. And it's really easy to forget that everybody doesn't have that same liberty to go out and do that. At least we do for now.
that's right.
See what happens. But yeah, that's really very fascinating, actually, when you think about all the different countries and the different rules and how it is. I know I have friends in Australia. My friend Jody Lyle that shoots in Australia, and listening to her talk about some of the challenges is very, very fascinating.
Yeah. It's tough, right?
Yeah.
So
So y'all just kind of got together and decided to make the Precision Rifle Federation been around since y'all talked about it in 2018, and then you're just now getting this match going, or is this a newer thing? How exactly did it like come to be official?
Rob.
well, I think, yeah, I'll kind of lead in. I'll lead in for Rob. So,
Shoot.
we started getting some momentum. A bunch of countries were really getting interest over this, and then basically Rob was like, "I'm tired of it. I'm grabbing this thing by the horns." And then, God, he's done just a mountain of work for this. Probably, I mean, just the the mountain of paperwork, and from a constitution all the way through, um all the way down, drilling down to an agreement. It's like, so I mean, Rob, you can obviously talk about a heck of a lot more than I can, but I mean, he's done most of the heavy lifting when it comes to this stuff. I think he's a glutton for punishment, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Easily 90%.
Yeah, it was kind of here in so outside of America. I mean, you guys, America's quite different to the rest of the world in terms of how sport works. And for the rest of us, we've got we fit into frameworks in our countries that they set up a framework for us to do sport in, and each country's got its own national sports federation. And then inside of that national sports federation, you will tend to have all of the individual sports themselves. And we've in South Africa, we have the South African Sports Shooting Federation, and all the different disciplines of sport shooting are linked into that. And you've got the guys at ISSF, you've got the guys that's your clay target guys, and then I think we've got 17 shooting sports in South Africa underneath that format. And the only way for many of us to actually get any international recognition, to be a recognized athlete in sport, is to actually be part of that federation. And the government only recognizes that single sports federation, which in our case is the South African Sport and Olympic Committee. So we've got to kind of fit into that framework in order to get our recognition for our athletes. So if our guys leave here in South Africa and want to go compete in another country, and you don't have that framework behind you, you can't represent the country. It's not official. And obviously, representing your country, going to a world event, wearing that blazer with your country's logo on it is a big thing, right? I mean, that's like the highest accolade in sport. And we can't get that unless we are part of this entire framework and system. So the only way that we can do that was to say, well, hold a second, we need an international federation. And what do we need to do that? And yeah, it's just a lot of research, a lot of reading, a lot of trying to read up on other sports. Not necessarily a shooting sports. I mean, I was looking at stuff right across the board to try and understand how that framework works. And then how do we take that framework international? And how does that work? And then these phone calls to Marcus, to Tiff, you know, trying to understand what's happening in your countries. How does it work over there? What do we got to do? And you know, Marcus got the same problem. It's you know, they can't get their federation off the ground without having an international federation. Whereas in South Africa, we were quite lucky in that. I mean, I was talking to Grant a little bit earlier. He's the vice chairman here in South Africa. And we walked into our Sport Shooting Federation's national AGM, and we had like 2 inches worth of paperwork of our regulations, our rules, our constitution, our code of conduct. We even had a social media policy. I mean, it was crazy. And dropped that on the desk, and they were like, wow, okay. And then 20 minutes later, they were like, okay, looks like you guys have got your house in gear. Welcome on board. So we got that going really quickly. And from there, we were able to springboard. Now we've got the South African one going. The guys in Namibia did the same thing. Javier in Spain did the same. And suddenly we realized, well, hold a second, we've got 3 countries actually part of this framework already. So let's get the international going, and then we can extend it. Then Marcus can start using it on his side. It's going to help Tiff in the UK as well. It's going to help the guys in Ireland. So yeah, we started somewhere, and we just kind of built on top of that.
That's awesome. It's all complicated, all the requirements and what you need to do to be able to, you know, it's crazy. You have to have the international federation before you can do the ones in your country. So
yeah, I think Marcus can probably talk a little bit to that.
Yeah, well, we don't really, it's not, we can still shoot and everything like that, but the international federation sure helps. And but what we're struggling with now is being accepted into our national shooting sports federation, which is probably going to happen now. I've been doing that for like 5 years, trying to get in there. So once that happens, we'll be able to buy, we have to have license on our guns, obviously. So right now, I'd say 95% of all rifles in the precision rifle game over here are on a hunting license, because we can't get them on a sport shooting license because we're not a recognized sport. And that's the whole thing with this, because you're capped at being able to own 6 rifles. And if you're also a hunter and you got match rifles, that's kind of, you know, it's not enough. So with sport shooting licenses, you can have your sport shooting guns on that.
Wow, only 6 rifles. It's like a small range strip worth.
Yep, pretty much.
And so we're kind of already. One of the things we were going to ask is what's you know, we always talk about when we have people from some of our more locked down states with laws, you know, how it's different from here in Georgia, where people in New York or California are. And just like you just said, Marcus, you guys have a license that you can only have so many rifles assigned to. What are some of the other, I guess, struggles you guys go through being in different countries with, you know, our awesome American Second Amendment protecting your rights for, you know, having guns and stuff that you guys got to struggle through?
Other small details that we have problems with is that if you put like a KRG with a foldable stock and a pistol grip on it, that's like a gray area, because you're technically allowed to own it, but if you're going to buy a new rifle with those features, you're denied the license. So if you put it on afterwards, it's kind of, you know, gray area, which would help with the sport shooting license, because then it would be totally allowed. But right now it's, you know, I don't know, maybe a lot of people do it, but I wouldn't want to go to court over that issue.
Yeah, that'd be very, very, very unfun. And, you know, it's a lot of these laws, I think, are, you know, written by people that don't really know a whole lot about guns. It's like, you know, I have a folding buttstock on here. Literally the reason why I want my folding buttstock on there is so I don't have to adjust my cheek piece to pull my bolt out to clean my rifle or put it in the case. Like, don't see how that's something that makes my rifle more deadly. You know, I definitely can't conceal the thing. Like, you can see that thing from outer space.
Yeah.
How about you, Tiff? What do you guys got going on over there?
Yeah, it's not as too bad in some regards, and it's really bad in others. So we have to ask for permission for each rifle or each firearm we want to have. Obviously, things like handguns, pistols, they're all banned in 1997. Anything semi-automatic above a 22 is banned in 1988. So we've basically got, shotguns and bolt rifles, which is great. But you have to ask for each one and provide reason to your police force why you want that particular firearm. So if you've got a 243 and you want a 308, you have to say why you want the 308, and not just 243 doesn't do it. You have to justify each one, which is kind of part of it. And the forces will start getting twitchy when you get above sort of 10 a dozen or so. And it's fine, you can have more, you just got to justify them and have, alarm systems. And all our firearms, you can't have them just like lying around the house. They've all got to be in big safes and secure. And the ammunition's kept separately and locked away in a safe. So there's nothing in the nightstand, that's for sure. It's a very different mentality over here. And then we have, similar with Marcus, we have the field shooting and the target shooting. So you can get a license for one or the other or both. But if you want to get one just for target shooting, to just shoot matches, it takes 3 to 6 to 9 months to go through a club to get approved, to then get the license, to then apply for the firearm. And then the police might take 6 months to give you the firearm. So from day dot to actually getting the firearm might take you a year.
So getting firearms over there is like getting a suppressor here.
Yeah, but they can buy a suppressor over the counter.
Yeah, that's it. So we just need a license, and a suppressor is considered the same as a rifle. So in law, a suppressor is one thing, a rifle is another. And if you get a rifle for hunting, you just get a suppressor chucked on, and it doesn't cost you anything more.
That is crazy.
I think we got 2 or 3 weeks right now and a $30 application fee, and you can own as many suppressors as you want.
Just picked up 2 GSL suppressors a few weeks back after a 5.5 month wait and $200 taxes on.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I got a suppressor for my little 22, and I want to say it's $300 and something suppressor with 200, and we still have a regular sales tax on top of it. So, you pay like your 8% on top of that, and then.
Damn, over here it's a little bit more
crazy.
like. So would you like a suppressor with that rifle? Like kind of like fries with your Mickey D's.
Really?
Yeah, isn't Warren selling those things for like $160 or something? What were those?
Probably around about there. Yep, around about there. I think they're cheaper than your tax
$160,
stamp.
guys. Yeah, cheaper than a muzzle brake. Actually.
Yeah, like if you want to
tax
buy
stamp
a,
here is more than that.
It's cheaper than the tax stamp. Yeah. I know when I plan next time I go to South Africa to go hunting, I'm just going to buy a suppressor and go hunting, and then just leave it with one of my buddies there.
So that's a very good plan.
You guys over there in the United States, you have your suppressors are very expensive. Like we're like with Rob there. A good Swedish made suppressor for hunting, it's, I don't know, $200, $250.
Yeah,
Yep.
Yeah, they're about $1,000. Oh, and on top of that, the paperwork to do it all is so much of it that some places will charge you $150 to fill out the paperwork to submit to the ATF.
Damn.
I got lucky on that one. My buddies at Classic Jewelry and Loan out here, they it's just like, we'll fill this out for you.
crazy. So for the U.S. team, so Scott, you're president, but who all is involved from the U.S.?
We're working on that, and it was one of those things I kind of wanted to make sure this thing hit critical mass before we kind of introduced it to the US, and so we kind of kept it quiet, and it's like, okay, we got a world championship now. Okay, guys are getting really interested in this. So again, Eric Lundberg, he's been ROing matches and coming to matches since 2009, 2010, something like that. Really well respected guy. He puts a lot of effort into it and doesn't ask for anything back. And then Katie Godfrey, who's in the industry right now, Sean Murphy. We're looking at a few other guys. We're going to try to get a good collection of folks that are in the industry and shooters to make the selections for the U.S. team. I wanted to kind of keep it at the shooter level and be grassroots, bottom up effort. Guys that want to get involved and want to be part of the solution. They're getting invited on, and we'll probably eventually have 5 to 7 guys and gals, within the industry. But again, that's not really, I don't have a whole lot of say so over that. I basically said, Katie and Eric stepped up first about 7 months ago. Eric kind of wrote the RO guidelines and some of the rules and safety aspects for the international side of the house, and he kept on going with it. So I was like, okay, Eric, you're it, man. So that's kind of how the U.S. team is going to end up happening. And we're looking at kind of the recommendation I gave Eric was, as far as picking out or coming up with a team, was cast the net out over the whole entire, because we have such a wide variety of shooting here. We have field matches, we have your classic East Coast PRS match, we have competition dynamics, we have Mammoth, we have Vortex Extreme, we have the Hunter series, we have the NRL, which the NRL and the PRS are kind of it's basically the same product. We're doing the same things, just kind of a West Coast, East Coast kind of feel to it. But with the different divisions, we're going to have to find 308 shooters, seniors, youngsters, ladies. We're going to have to find guys that shoot the classic rifle division, which I'm probably most excited about that, because it kind of follows the hunting format that I came up with a couple of years ago with the Night Force match, and then the Hornady Precision Hunters Steel Challenge. Trying to go back to the kind of your classic hunting rifle, 16 pounds or less, with a formidable cartridge instead of 22 BR, 6 BR, something like that. We're looking at something with some energy. But anyway, I got off on a tangent there, but anyway, it's like, again, it's not really up to me anymore on the US side of the house. I'm trying to stay at the international level and assist those guys where they need to be. And then Eric is going to be, he's doing his own thing now. So it's exciting.
So US shooters blow up Eric's private messenger on Facebook, and
you saw that. yeah, and we'll have Team Oklahoma. I mean, so we're looking at what is it? It's 35 shooters. So we've got, actually it's more than that. It's almost 40 shooters. So you've got 25 just in open. So open men's, open ladies, open military, junior and senior. And then we have classic, limited, which is our version of tactical, 223 308. And then we have factory rifle, which is going to be a lot more strict, I think, than our PRS rules for production. So and that was probably what, Tiff, maybe 7 months of us going back and forth, Rob, and Marcus. I think that was the most heated debate I've had in a long time, was just
that's
trying to figure out. Yeah, it's still ongoing, of course, and this will be the first, the first World Championships. We're going to get input, obviously, and what we're, it's one of those things I like to have when we run a match or any kind of organization I'm involved in. I like to have a feedback loop for our customers to bring concerns to us, not just from the customers, the shooters, but from the industry. Like, okay, this is a pretty good framework. We have a couple ideas, and if it makes sense, by all means, we're going to use them. I mean, this isn't I think,
if I can jump in there.
Well,
it's a,
go ahead.
I can jump in. It's kind of I think what's really cool about this entire thing is this is a sports federation. This is not a one-man show. This is a federation of countries coming together who are bringing their ideas into this. It's not these are the rules. The rules we've got at the moment are a decent peg in the sand. It's as good as we can get them. You know, it's as good as 24 of us sitting around a table going back and forth can get the rules to a point that the match is going to work. Mm-hmm. Are they good enough? We certainly hope so. We've put a lot of time and effort into it, but they need to improve, and they will improve as we shoot a world championship, as countries come to us and say, guys, this is just not working. We need to fix that. And that needs to fix. If we stagnate, we're just going to get left behind. We need to be constantly moving, not changing all the time, but actually listening to people, listening to our countries, and trying to actually come up with a better solution, you know, for all of us, and set a better standard worldwide.
Yeah, a little bit of a course correction here and there is going to hurt. And I think to the person, I think one of the great joys of this whole thing for me was that these guys are all ego free, and their egos attached to the outcome and not the process. So
yeah, not Marcus. Yeah,
that's right.
What? What did I miss?
No, it's been awesome. I mean, and my problem is it's like, okay, now I want to go shoot the Viking series. I shot at Tiff's place. I went down to, I didn't get to shoot a match because we were going to shoot a match in South Africa, but then like Diane and I had to basically change, or we bumped our flight back up 4 days so that we could actually get home, or else I'd probably still be in South Africa. So that was this March. So like March, I was supposed to fly back, March 24th. We were going to have the match on the 22nd, 23rd. And then we bumped everything up, had to cancel everything, and flew back to empty airports on the way home. I mean, it was kind of nutty, but now, yeah, I'm just excited to kind of travel. Go ahead. Sorry.
Tell us a little bit about the format of the match. Like, I think everybody is, it's getting to be a buzz now about what is this match? Is it going to be a PRS style match? Is it going to be more like a sniper field match? Is it going to be, I see it's got team and individual portions. Is it the team where it's going to be a primary secondary type thing like Mammoth is, or is it going to be them? How, kind of tell us what you can. I know it's probably still being developed, but what you can about what type of match it's going to be.
Well, it's going to be an individual match, like a PRS match, a Viking series match, a South Africa match. The goal is to have it as an international feeling match instead of, you know, if I go to if I go to an Altus, you know, and those guys are friends of mine, you know, I go down there, I have a pretty good idea what it's going to be 90% barricades. There'll be a little bit of prone. There won't be any blind stages because everybody knows the place already and everything's marked. It's a traditional kind of square range. It's an awesome place to shoot, but you kind of know what to expect when you go there versus after talking with Marcus, like the Swedes, they don't let you get behind glass. You can't look down range until it's time for you to shoot. So we're going to try to incorporate some of that stuff in there. Rob's got the way the South Africans do it. They've got kind of the same feel as a PRS match, but again, they've got their own kind of flavor to it. And what I'm going to work with Javier, and we're going to try to capture that. You know, we've got a really good staff of guys. They're going to give me a bunch of ideas. We're going to work with Javier. It looks like he's got a really cool piece of land. It looks kind of like the desert Southwest. So they're I think just outside of wine country in Spain. So, you know, I think the potential there is huge. So we're going to try to get it to where it's a mix of a field match, kind of your traditional barricade PRS match with some blind stages mixed in. There's some challenges there for sure to try to get that feel down, but I think and then as far as the team goes, the way Rob and the crew have framed it is that you're going to take 3 of your best shooters, their scores count towards the country's team score. So there'll be individual trophies. There'll also be, your main, like your open, world championship trophy. So it's still an individual match. It's just that your top 3 guys are going to count in each one of the divisions.
So like
Yeah, it kind of gives
gymnastics at the Olympics.
Exactly.
They're all going for individual. However, they take the top, and that's the
Yep.
USA's score and South Africa's score.
correct.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
And it gives you that chance to have one mulligan score. One guy has a bad day, doesn't rip your whole team apart. You've got that fallback position still to make up the team score.
So I know 3 guys in Oklahoma that have volunteered to be those 3 guys for the U.S. They're all over here. Those JTAC guys.
Yeah.
The Oklahoma.
Absolutely,
Avengers.
no doubt. Yeah. Well, and then, you're going to have to, we're going to have to get Rick Reeves. We're going to have to get Brian Allen, Phil Cash, and we're going to have to get those guys fired up for the 55 and older crowd. I still won't be old enough, so to shoot the seniors, but
You will in time. You're getting older.
there's no doubt about that.
So what else can you tell us kind of about the plan for the match? Like, this is going to be a lot of shooters. How many days are you planning on running this match over? Have we thought that out yet?
Yeah, we're figuring 200 to 250 per day. We can run that pretty comfortable. The precedent has been set. Shannon K is able to run almost 400 guys through his facility in a weekend. It will take some effort on our O's part. We are going to have some language barriers to work with. So, even the night 4 CLR match, I run 250 guys there with 2.5 stages, and it's all prone. And it makes for long days, but I think we're going to be able to do it. So in the neighborhood of, I'm thinking within 6 days, we can handle up to, 750 shooters. But again, yeah,
it was, last week was fine. So a week before we launched was fine. It was like there were 12 countries, and we were chatting. Yeah, we can handle this. Isn't that hassle? No problem at all. Yeah. Then we launched, and the requests started coming in from countries to join us, and we're kind of going, we're going to need another 2 days. Hell, we might need even 2 more days after that.
We're going to need a bigger.
I think people won't complain if they travel all the way over there. I think people will be okay to hang out and vacation and
say, I'll shoot for a couple of days, go and enjoy the country for a couple of days. I'm waiting on everybody else to finish up, and then drink for a couple of days after that.
Yep.
So
and they do have ibex.
They have what?
Ibex.
Like
These guys have already heard it today.
Yeah. Like in 2023, there's going to be there's no ibex left.
yeah. So
one of the things that USPSA does is, because the language barrier, you were saying language is going to be an issue with the ROs. USPSA is very specific about their range commands, and it's because of IPSC, which is the international version of it, right? So it is very specific, so that even if you speak Chinese, you can recognize what the commands sound like and know what they are. And that's one thing when I moved from USPSA and 3-gun over to PRS, the commands are never consistent here anyway in the Southeast. They're not consistent. Some people will say, shooter ready, engage. And some will say, are you ready? Go. I mean, it's always different. Sometimes it's with a timer, and sometimes it's not. So that's one thing y'all might want to think about, is like making very specific range commands that have to be used every time, so that even if there's a language barrier, they've been released out and people know what to listen to.
Hey, Chief RO with the mostest, make notes.
Yeah, well, that's Eric. He's not
Yep.
on the call.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Oh, he's watching.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Hey, Eric. I'm not seeing. Oh, you guys got the Facebook live feed over there.
Yep. So I got like 2 massive monitors up here, and I got notes, Facebook, and Zoom, and everything going on here. Eric said it's already done, Jen.
Great minds think alike.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Let's say, yeah, like
He-
even at our like local USPSA matches, on the back of the timer for the new shooters, they have all the commands written, and it's like you say this and this and this and this and this. So that would help.
Yeah.
It's
It always
just-
confuses me when I'm.
That's kind of minutial stuff that I know will get sorted out on, you know, it's you know, it could be an enormous thing, but it won't be. By the time we get, you know, 17 months from now, the biggest hurdles we have right now is just getting everybody to Spain, you know, with their rifles and ammo. That's going to be, I think, the biggest hurdle for us.
Yeah, we got a lot of planning to go on the whole thing. It's definitely it's a big match, and there's a lot riding on it, and we've got a good team behind that, and I think the guys are we're all pulling in the same direction, which is awesome to see across all the countries in the world. Everybody is really wanting this right now.
So we kind of started going into that. We had 12 countries already signed up, and we had a lot more. So what are the first 12 countries, and how many more are pending right now?
So what do we got now? We started off with Canada. I got my computer, my power's back on. Wow, cool. So I'm just booting up at the moment, but but we got Canada, Czech Republic. Who else we got, guys? We've got obviously Great Britain. There's Ireland. There's Italy, Spain, South Africa, USA, Sweden, Norway. Who else we got on that? So I'm just everything's kind of booting up right now.
Rob's got the list. He keeps track of everything.
I've got the list. Yeah, I'm trying to keep track of stuff. It's kind of it's been very entertaining.
Obviously, Spain, France, Germany.
Yep. So right now, and then this week, yeah, not Australia added on to that. This week we've got. So we've been contacted by guys in Argentina, Belgium, Chile, Denmark, France, Germany, Greece, Latvia, Lithuania, Malta, New Zealand, Poland, Russia, Serbia, Slovenia, Slovakia, Switzerland, Ukraine, and Hungary. So
Malta
yeah,
2024.
Yeah, those guys with the guys.
Dude.
Yeah. I mean, you think we've got problems? I mean, they've got their longest range in Malta is a 30-meter range. So
the pistol range.
Wow.
Yeah, like a pistol range. So they travel overseas all the time. They literally jump on a boat, head over to Greece or to wherever they got to go to, and they go and shoot there. So I mean, all these countries got challenges right across the world, but it's awesome to see this all coming together.
Yeah,
that is awesome that you got that much interest.
Yeah, it's breathtaking actually when Tiff and Rob are like going back and forth like, holy shnikes, this is a little more than we expected.
Yeah.
I had high hopes, and you know, secretly with Rob, I was saying this thing's going to get freaking huge, and we need to get rid. I think I told Tiff and Marcus this too. Is like this is going to get a lot bigger, a lot faster than you think. So
this is the Olympics of shooting.
Yeah, it really is.
The Olympics of PRS. I mean, everybody. I was just telling somebody the other day, I was like, I love the Olympics, and don't laugh at me if I sit there watching the Olympics crying, because like to me it just means something. You know, it's these people work so hard. Some of them,
well, that's it,
kids.
right? It's that one time. It's that one thing. That's the one thing every 4 years, right? It's you know, there's gonna be one champion in your sport.
And I don't think anybody feels that that pride about your country like during that week. You know, I mean, everybody comes together, and you see people from different countries like competing and shaking hands and encouraging each other when they have issues. but then there's just so much pride for your, you've got so much national pride for your country. And I love it. I feel like it pulls the country together. And for once, everybody's rooting for the same thing instead of arguing over stupid stuff.
First world
So,
problems.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, I
So,
mean that whole team thing is going to be huge. I think it's going to be a really big factor in this whole lot, and I think it's there's some such cool conversations I've been having around the world with guys who you're talking to a country and suddenly they're going, well, they've got these guys, but they don't like those guys, and suddenly they're all realizing, well, hold a second, we've got to talk to each other. We've got to, this isn't just about my range, and I want to have full control of my range and try to control the sport, because if I control the sport, I get more people to my range and put more money in my pocket. Those type of things we're seeing left, right, and center. And this is bigger than that. This is kind of like, hey man, this is your country's team. It's your national team. So you want the best shooters on that team to take your country's flag forward.
That is really awesome. And it's like, you kind of think like when I do good in a match for myself, like really proud of me. But like if I was on a team and like did good for my team, I'd be happier. But like if I was the person that my country to go and do this, like that is a whole nother level of awesome.
Yeah.
And so we kind of went into this a little bit earlier, but the question that has been all over the place has been, how does somebody get into shooting this? And not only for the U.S. teams, and I know we're talking about, we're getting, we got Eric and Katie here that are coming up with a plan. Is there anything else we could say for some of the countries? Do any other countries have their teams together yet, or are we still building? How do we get people out here into this?
Tiff, you want to go for this one?
Yeah, sure. So from the UK perspective, building on what Rob was saying, it's very much just inviting everyone on board, getting on board. It's bigger than any one series, league, etc. in each nation. So same for Scott, it's not just one coast, whatever. All venues get on board. So in the UK, we're getting all the ranges and saying, look, you're doing these great matches. We don't want to run the matches. You're already running them. That's the point of this. It's just taking those scores and collaborating them, finding little ways to standardize certain bits, like the range commands, for instance. We don't want to be using sort of all sorts of crazy range commands. Suddenly you get to the World Championships and someone's waiting for a buzzer to go, or a stopwatch, or a flag, or a foghorn, or something. But we just standardize those little things. We take those scores that are already out there, and then we put the shooters together. It's going to vary between countries. So in the UK, it's probably going to be a bit too simplistic to start with, but we're literally just going to take almost certainly the top guys and then just put them together. So if you have a great season, you're in. If you don't have a great season, wait till next time. Simple as that, really. I know some countries are going to do sort of a more complex scoring system that will take into account sort of the peaks and troughs in people's performance. But here there's not that many ranges. We've only got, for the whole of the United Kingdom, maybe 8 ranges that you can run a sort of a precision rifle match on. So we're pretty limited. We're a pretty crowded island. So we want to get all those ranges on board, use their existing matches, and just sort of get those scores together, really. Yeah, I'll pass over to Rob. He's got some good ideas on scoring and all sorts of those things. He likes those sort of documents.
Yeah. So basically, there's been a lot of like I suppose there's a lot of information on available in sport that's been published. I mean, this is not a new thing we're doing here. This is every single sport in every single nation has to choose a team to go to the Olympics, right? And how do you do that? And there are lots of ways to do it. And you've got the two opposing models, and there's a middle ground in the middle. You've kind of got the objective way of selecting a team, which is basically saying, hey, let's go get let's set up a series of matches or qualifications, and the top 3 guys go, or the top 4 guys. That's our team, done, dusted. Whoever gets the top score goes, right? And then you get the flip side of that, which is the selection-based method, which is subjective. We appoint a bunch of selectors, and you get a bunch of people saying, hey man, I want to go. And you put them into a hat, and the selectors kind of say, okay, we've looked at progress through the season, and they work it all out, and they come back with the best recommendation for a team to represent the country. And then there's kind of like a middle route, which is what we're trying to look at in South Africa, which is to try and get there has to be a standard in South Africa in order to get a national accreditation or get your national colors to represent South Africa. You need to reach a certain standard in sport. In other words, you can't say, well, we've only got 4 guys. Let's send those 4 guys, because, well, clearly the standard is not going to be good enough for international competition. And therefore, you can't have that accolade of representing your country if you don't have a set skill level. So what we've got is we've got a set skill level where our athletes will all going to compete during the season. And at the end of the season, there'll be a whole lot of guys in that level. And we've got to try and find a whole lot of other shooters and other competitors to say, guys, okay, you guys get to be the selectors. Maybe what will happen is that the factory team is picking the open team, and the open team's picking the factory team, type thing. The best people to choose the right squad of people to go are the other shooters around you. And that's kind of the method we're going to end up using in the end of the day. But we've got to try and make it fair and transparent, and make that process clear, so that people aren't feeling left out, or they felt like they've qualified better than another guy. Sure, that's going to happen, but ultimately, the selectors are trying to choose the best people to represent South Africa in the end of the day, and to try and to bring that trophy home to our country.
That
That's
sounds
awesome.
Yep, and a update for the U.S. team. Eric said that they're targeting the end of March or early April to have the Team USA criteria out to all the shooters. So we'll be sure, Eric, when you go to post that and let it out, let us know, and we'll spread to the masses.
Everybody's anxiously awaiting that, I think.
Yeah.
I know
It's funny that post went up, and it was like I must have seen that post 100 times, because people were sharing it like man, I want to go, and everybody
that's
wanted
when
to
I
go.
kind of wiped the booger on the back of Eric, and it's because my feed exploded as well. Like, how do I do this? How do I do this? And I was like, I actually don't have any say so. Eric does, though.
I think the funniest post we saw of the whole lot was actually Alison Zane.
Yes.
Yeah, that's really funny.
Daddy, I want to go to Spain.
Yep.
Yeah, no, she's going. She's got a couple of different. She's got open.
Yeah.
She's got open ladies. She's got junior. She's going. There's probably no doubt.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'll say as long as Daddy says yes, I'm pretty sure she's going to qualify.
Yeah.
And then the next chore is going to be to get funding for it, and then we're looking at trying to do it through sponsors. I think most of the shooters that are probably going to get invited to go will have some sort of sponsorship backing, but we're also looking at, on the international side of the house, of kind of trying to get some resources set up for some of the countries that don't have the same means we do, in order to get them to the championship as well. So this is going to be a big effort on that side of the house for me and a lot of the guys in the US, to try to figure out how to resource this, so that our shooters aren't coming out of pocket a ton of money to do this.
So I saw a post that you made about getting people to be representatives for the U.S. team. So what
Mhm.
all does that entail? What kind of people are you looking for to do it? Do you want top shooters? Do you want RO? Tell us a little bit about that.
So this is actually that the Eric volunteered, and he's in the right position to do this, because he came up with a bunch of the rules, and we're really kind of cobbling together. I had a talk with Neffy Cole this afternoon from NSSF. So I'm trying to put together, I'm trying to collect or ask guys that I know within the industry, that I know are they don't have necessarily a dog in the fight, but they know everybody, they're connected, and they know how how this stuff works. And so really what it is, it's going to be right now, it's just a few folks that are going to set up the criteria. After that, it's guys are going to go shoot. They're going to either make the criteria to get on US team or not. So, and that's really how it's going to go down. And we're looking at using kind of the same methodology as Rob is. We want the shooters to kind of come up with their criteria to make the team. And then after that, once that's published in March, guys are going to have, an extra goal to shoot for, if you will, not just shooting for, take home a golden bullet or the NRL flag or, the Grand Slam trophy, but to actually, work towards, limited, guys that are shooting tactical or seniors, or, they're even the guys that are shooting competition dynamics matches, guys that are shooting the hunting matches, guys that are shooting the rifleman's team challenge matches. There's going to be multiple ways to get into this, and we're definitely going to take the best shooters we can within each one of those disciplines or divisions, if you will. That's kind of the guidance I gave Eric, and now it's really, his animal, and he's got some really good help. I mean, Katie's super smart. Sean he knows everybody. So, and he's done this before. He's done the international stuff. He shot on the US F-class team, and he's, one of the best shooters in the nation. So, and he's one of the most impartial guys. I mean, he gets it. He knows how to make stuff as fair as possible. So I think that's the direction we're headed here. And again, I'm super happy to have Eric and Katie and Sean on board. James Gilliland also mentioned wanting to get on board, and he's kind of a legend in our community too. So I think we've got the right folks in the US to get it sorted out. There is always going to be growing pains with this, but I'm pretty confident that we'll be able to field a good team.
That'll be awesome. So we talked earlier about the divisions. You kind of went through them earlier, but one little sticking point we didn't hit is about limited. And the buzz on the internet today has been, it's all got to be factory.
Yeah, you mean the barrel tuner division?
Yeah, the
And it's
barrel
all
turner,
free
that's what it's
ammo,
going
right?
to come down to, right? So, yeah,
Barrel
so
turner.
the goal is to have, and it actually won't be that huge of it'll be a huge investment for whatever country, but you have Nammo and Ruag right there in Europe. They make awesome ammo, and we're looking at, it would be basically 200 round course of fire less than 20 less. So just ballparking it, 180 round course of fire, right? Because you can only travel with 200 rounds. So at that point, we get an investment from Ruag or Nammo or Federal or Hornady, any number of countries that can ship 15,000 rounds of 308 overseas, or 223, or a combination thereof. We find out who's shooting what 4 months prior, and we can drop ship that stuff there. And then the competitor has 20 to 50 rounds to figure out their data, see if the stuff shoots, and that actually in my mind, that keeps people honest on what kind of reamer they use, right? I mean, you're you're gonna want kind of a standard SAMI spec 308 reamer to go into this competition. And the one thing about it, though, is 223 and 308 shoot good in just about everything. I mean, that's been sorted out for decades, so it's not like we're reinventing the wheel on that. But I think the most exciting aspect of that is everybody's shooting the same ammo, so
That's
it's
definitely
not a
one way to keep
reloading
it
game.
honest. So I'm going to go ahead and throw this out there because I know Aaron Hip's watching. The U.S. Tactical Division or Limited Division by Kinetic Security Solutions.
Exactly.
Actually,
Hey, Aaron, we got your back,
yeah.
buddy.
Yeah. Ryan Hay actually hit me up and he's like, I'm gonna have to break out the 308 today. I was like, okay, he's gonna go back and shoot tactical again. It's
Oh man, he's one of the. He's insane with 308. Damn, I've seen that guy in action. That is insane. He's got some skills.
I think
Just get one.
I think there's going to be some people that change their game plan on what they want to do this year. You know, if they have a division that they may want to go for, they may change what their plan for the year was, you know?
I'd like to see more. Last year the effort was to try to get folks interested in production rifle because it to me it just looked like it was being neglected. And that you can say the same thing about tactical for us. I mean, you look at the NRL and the PRS, it's very open gun centric, and I don't begrudge that at all. I think that that's just the direction of travel and the direction of evolution. But I'd really like to see more involvement at that, at the 308 223 level, at the production rifle level, or production rifle level. I mean, it's the more folks we get involved at the different levels, obviously the better we do, I think, whole.
Yeah.
So
I think part of it was, when we sat down and we started looking at these divisions, was to try and come up with a nice balance across the whole range. And what really surprised me is nobody's talking about the classic division in terms of the magazine limit, and not understanding that you've got 5 rounds in that gun. That's the maximum amount of ammo you're allowed to have in that rifle. Yep. And 5 rounds, and you only got one magazine for the entire match. Yep, top loaders are going to be it. That's a you got a top loading rifle, you're going to load faster than somebody who's got a magazine driven gun, which is kind of interesting.
And so that's classic division.
Classic,
yeah, classic division. So classic division basically mimics the heavy hunter in the NRL Hunter series. That was not by accident.
Yeah, you nicked that from you stole that from us, dude.
That's
gonna be funny.
And then is there cal restrictions in that class as well, or weight, or
so what?
Yeah,
so we got a weight limit
and power factor.
Wait, they can't shoot a 30-pound gun
with a 6-dasher?
No.
Even if it's top loaded.
Yep, it's. I think it worked out. We've got a 380 kilogram foot per second speed on it. So I think we worked it out. There was a 140 grain bullet running at 215 or 2720. I think was the speed it was running at. Was kind of the minimum you could get away from.
Nice. And then what are we looking at for factory? Can I bring a GA Precision Pinnacle or?
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
no. Oh, you could bring an AI though. That's a factory
rifle.
AI.
We're looking for factory rifles, and I was kind of looking at. So this is kind of one of the things that we saw at matches. So there's this problem with this whole financial limit. So just to give you an idea, right? And this is a calculation we were doing the last couple of days. It was kind of a bit of an eye opener. If you take the $5,000 limit at the moment, here in South Africa, the direct comparison to buy that specific rifle in the store right now here in South Africa is 155% more expensive than the retail price in the USA. So that's like a $7,200 rifle you're going to buy, right? Then if you take a look at the purchasing power parity and say you use the McDonald index to try and work out, you buy a Big Mac in the States is I think $5.65 at the moment. Here in South Africa, that's $2.15. So there's a massive difference in price point. And what McDonald's is trying to do is that they're trying to make a product that is set for a certain person in the market, because that's their product. That's where they fit in the market, and they milk you for what you can, for what the economy will pay for that particular product. So basically, we've got like a 260% difference in cost. So you're going to take that $7,000 and I'll multiply that by 260. We've got a $20,000 price point for production. What?
Wow.
Right? So that's kind of like, how does that work? So in South Africa, we got guys who will go out and the most affordable way to get into the sport is to buy a Hauer, a 1500 Hauer, and put it into a Gun Warrior chassis. And Gun Warrior is run by Warren Britnell, who's he shot the finale a couple of times. He's a great guy. He's got an awesome product he's built and brought to market here in South Africa. It's priced really spot on for the South African market. And basically, you're all in for sub $1,000, type story. Rifle, it's sub 1,000, maybe it's a little more than that. Maybe it's just over $1,000 for that rifle in direct cost. So if you look at the other direction, you're probably actually looking like a $200 rifle in terms of price point or parity price. So yeah, it's different in every country. And so we had to look at a way to say, well, hold a second. We've got all these guys shooting these rifles, and they're actually open division rifles. What other rifles are coming to matches? And we've got Victrix, we've got Accuracy International, we've got guys pitching up with Barrett. All these rifles that are like factory rifles, and there's nowhere to shoot them. There's no division to shoot them in. And we're cutting out the big manufacturers in the world who've been, the FNs, the Barretts, the AIs, the Cadix guys. They've been cut out of it completely. And not able to get involved in the sport. So now we've got a division that opens that up at an international level, and now those big manufacturers can get back involved and back in play.
I think, at the U.S. market too, when you look at Ruger and Savage, they were literally the only guys that got into the tactical rifle or the PRS style rifle or comp gun at the right time. It doesn't make any sense for example, for Beretta Group to come up with a SKU for a precision rifle for a market that's tiny compared to what they're used to. They're selling $90,000 shotguns, as fast as they can make them. And, they're doing, $600 million a year. Why would they even bother with a $2,500 rifle? It makes no sense. So, and that was one of the things with the Hunter series, the NRL Hunter series. I was like, it has to, in order for it to be a factory rifle, it has to be completely unmodified SKU. So you can't drill a hole in the stock even. But we looked at it differently, national market, because at some point in time, we have to be able to switch out the barrel. And I think, we talked, this is one of those divisions that we talked for months on. I think the fire controls are a lot more important than the barrel, actually. So at that point, it's, we kind of came to some pretty general conclusions that, the rifle has to be stock with, some slight modifications, but without coming up with, rule 1,221, subparagraph A, subparagraph 1, you can't drill a hole in your stock.
Yeah.
But, I think we've done a pretty good job. And the biggest thing for us is to include, like what Ross said, was to include these companies, give them a place, because the custom gun makers already have a spot.
That's okay.
They already have a spot. They have open, they have limited, and they have classic. They've got 3 positions for the custom gun makers to rest and sell rifles, and we have nothing for the bigger gun makers.
Yeah. So I think, Tiff, you can probably speak to it in the UK. You guys shoot a lot of AIs over there. I think every photograph I've seen of a UK shooter, he's got an AI in his hand.
Yeah. So obviously, made over here. Slight confession of interest there. I do Team AI, represent Team AI, team captain over here in the UK. So there's a couple of Team AIs, not just the US one. So that's slightly my fault there. But naturally, it's a home-built company, and we like to support them, really, at the end of the day. And it's brilliant that we've got this opportunity to actually offer, and particularly even, the rivals Barrett and things like that. We've got guys shooting MRADs they're not competitive. We all admit that in open. They're really good rifles. They're great rifles. Don't get me wrong, but they're never going to beat a guy running a heavy 6mm something or other. You know, all set up with Arca on and everything else. So it's really good that we've got this opportunity now to actually expand the potential for these rifles that just hasn't been there before. And it doesn't disenfranchise those makers anymore, like we've been saying, which is fantastic, basically. And there's a lot of guys that have AIs here. I mean, we're sort of like, I've been running matches in the UK since 2009, 2010 now. So we've been going a long time, but it's only really started to gain momentum in the last sort of 3 years, I suppose, 2-3 years. And about 20% of the field are still running AIs. So to have something they can actually utilize them for now is fantastic, basically. It's really good.
And then Marcus with the Tikas.
Yeah,
First time I
but-
saw Mark, he had this tricked out Tika, awesome rifles. But
Yeah, well, I'd say when we did a survey on the Viking Rifle Series, I think it was 2 years ago now, and it turned out like more than 50% of the entire top 50 or something were running Tika actions, and if not 60 or 70%, it was insane. And everyone starts out with a standard Tika 6555, and then you shoot that barrel out, and then everyone goes crazy with the mods and get a thick barrel and chassis and everything. But we all started out in the same place with a Tika, and they're still dominant in the market because, I mean, the actions are as good as it gets from a factory gun. So
Yeah. And I think
That's
part of the
awesome.
whole thing with the factory division was to kind of say, by taking the caliber out of the equation, we were basically saying, well, you know, the guys are going to game it. The guys are going to try, you know, they're going to put their 6mm in there. Everybody's going to game it. So if gaming it is part of it, what it is, we're going to get to that almost level playing field by taking that whole caliber thing out of it. So what the factory division is actually doing is actually testing the rifle, what that chassis, the action, the trigger, that whole combination, what those guys put out there, take away the caliber, how good is that rifle in the end of the day, and in the hands of the top shooters in the world.
yeah, I think that's a good thing to take the caliber part out of it. I mean, because if you, let's say Tika and Sako, I don't think they make any 6mm, whether some manufacturers make them, and so then you'd be competing with a 6.5 towards 6mm and and I mean, as long as you stick with contour and length, you can run whatever caliber you want, which, as you said, Rob, levels the playing field pretty good.
Yeah, it totally levels the playing field. I've always said it would be interesting to watch some of the top guys go head to head with RPRs.
Yeah, like literally
Yep,
just going
yep,
by a skid
yep.
of them.
Yep.
Don't
Full
show
map.
up with all the weighted this and the that and, you know, ammo that you tweaked down to, you know, like,
dude, and open the box right there, mount your scope, break it in at the match location on Friday, and then go shoot.
Yep. You literally pull up here's your box, throw your bipod on it, and
That's right, exactly.
it just evens it out. And at that point, it is completely about skill because everybody is on the exact same level with the exact same equipment and
Mhm.
see, you know, where the skill really is.
That'd be a cool match.
That would be a cool match. It'd be an
Yeah.
expensive.
That'd be very cool.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, here's
I'd say
your
maybe-
10 boxes of ammo too. You know.
Yeah, but you know what
That's
you
it.
could do? You could the shooter that could sign the rifle and they could auction them off afterwards. I mean, you could have a Jake Vibbert rifle.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then just bring your scope. You know, what are you doing? I'm going
Yep.
to a rifle match. All you got is a set of scope and some rings. I'm like, yep, that's all I need.
It makes flying much cheaper too.
Right.
You know, no run
Yeah.
case.
Just bring a backpack full of clothes and a rear bag.
Yeah.
Your
And the
kettle.
scope. Like you could get away with just, you know, probably bring some like clean under breeches and whatnot, but you know, besides for that, you'll be good.
You can you can flip them inside out and turn them backwards, and you got 4. I mean, use them 4 times.
That's right. That's right. They're clean.
That
on the
is
outside.
slightly disturbing that you've thought that out.
Yeah.
I'll say, on that note, we are moving on to the next question. So this has actually been asked a couple times tonight. Is there any chance of any sort of like a live coverage of this match so that people at home could, you know, watch and see how their
Brandon
team's doing.
Haywood. Yeah, the AG Cup kind of set the precedent for it. We still need to try to kind of figure that out. I know there's probably going to be media companies from all over the world there. I'm hoping that's the kind of traction we get with this. And yes, people are suffering from insomnia and want to, be up at 2:00 in the morning stateside and watch, John Pinch, Jake or Clay or, Tate Street or shoot. They can, so that's the goal, obviously. One of the things that, it's like, I love golf. I play golf, but when I need to take a nap, I watch golf. And we got to try to get to where this isn't that, but we can still watch it, so I think having some folks that are really tied into the game and know on can do good interviews and can explain to the viewers wherever they are, what this guy's probably thinking. Well, hey, what's your plan real quick? Well, I'm going to do this. I'm not going to dial, blah, blah, blah. Okay, got it. And then you can come back, let the guy do his thing, watch him and explain it, that kind of a thing. I think that, finding those people is going to be fun and also kind of a point of criticality.
Yeah. Let us know on that. Cause we learned a bit about live streaming matches at AG Cup. We had Jen there being like professional sports reporter and streaming it all over.
Yeah.
That was
If
fun.
it's if
Calling
it's
out
something you
like,
need help with.
if Robert gets an 8 on this stage, he will secure second place.
Yeah. Right.
Back there, like, I'm
It
sure they
is.
are loving hearing me back here saying all this.
I'll say it's
And
funny.
then when
She's trying to find like the perfect volume. The viewers could hear it, but like the poor guy that's shooting for, it's like, oh yes, if he wins this stage, it's an extra $10,000 in his pocket. Like that is something you don't want like halfway through the stage.
Right.
If he
God,
drops this shot, he will lose $30,000.
You got to say it a little louder than that too, because they got amplified hearing protection, so it's kind of like basically don't suck.
Don't suck, scrub.
Yeah, it was.
Pretty much.
There was one point I won't say who it was. He came up and he had just shot. They were shooting simultaneously, and I was trying to keep up with what everybody had gotten on each one because the scoreboard was good, but it took a minute to get it uploaded. Like they had to get all 10 shooters through. Well, I knew who was in the lead, and I'm sitting there doing the math in my head, and he was coming towards me, and I was like, "What did you just get on that stage?" And he goes, "I'm not telling you. I'm not talking to you." To go ask somebody else. I'm like, what did he just get? They're like, he got an 8. I'm like, okay. So I'm like doing the math. I'm like, yeah, it was funny, but
No, that brings a whole different level of excitement to it,
Yep.
and if we
Yep.
can get viewers for this at some point in time, the sky's the limit after that. Not
Mhm.
only that, but for a lot of countries and even for back in the US, being able to see people have fun shooting and being safe can go a long ways for us to being able to protect our right to actually go and shoot. It's one thing to be able to own guns, it's another thing to have ammo and a place to go shoot, right? So
most definitely.
Yeah. I was very surprised that I knew that a lot of people were going to watch it because there was a big hype. But like, I mean, we had like 10, 15,000 people watching the live stream on some of these events. It was
Yep.
it
Yeah.
was crazy.
That last
some of
hour
the-
of coverage was because it got down to where every shot at that point mattered. And it was like, well, he didn't get that, so now he's out of the running for that. Or, when it came
Yeah.
down to Dave and Tate, like tied for third, like I knew as soon as the last shot went off, I was like, well, we now have a tie for third and there's going to be a shoot off, and um,
and
She
the
was
competitors, guys at Tate's and Dave's level, they already know where they stand. I mean, it's not irregular to be, I just dropped a shot I shouldn't have, and I can think that I just dropped 4 spots in the field. That's not uncommon. Those guys knew where they were, but it's still cool to watch.
mhm. It's
Yeah,
very,
I think that that whole side, that live scoring, if we can get to the point where we've got live feedback as the guy's shooting, and as he comes off the stage, his scores are up on the board, and that being deployed across. Because remember, if we won't have the same shooters, so you're not going to have like Team USA in one squad. You're going to have one guy from USA in one squad, and you know he hasn't got the calls. You know, he hasn't got his buddies with him. But that board's going to be, so maybe, you know, we talked a little bit earlier today about looking at trying to provide electronics or live scoring onto each stage. And so the guys can actually start seeing their positions on each stage. I mean, that's going to have a serious dynamic going on, and seeing which team's in the lead. If we can get that right, I think it's going to make a huge difference.
Yeah,
That definitely would.
yeah, that's a technical thing, and it sounds like we already have some volunteers, right, Jennifer?
sure, I'll come. I'm game.
Let's say she was
Now I
out.
can't do the technical stuff. Now me and Haywood argued over that scoreboard a couple times. I'm like, update the scoreboard, and he's like, I've got to do. I said, quit talking and update. Come on.
Yeah, but Haywood and I worked on a couple ideas to make it a little bit quicker for next year, and I've actually, me and my super nerd brother have been talking about a couple other ideas to make it even faster, so you're not out mathing the scoreboard. Hopefully by next year AG Cup we'll have a tablet we could carry with us, and you can hold it in front of you. And I'm still impressed at the amount of math you did in your head, keeping track of like the top 5 during that match.
I had the top 5, and I knew what they had, and I didn't have anything to write on it, and so I knew what they had, and they'd get like an 8, and I'd do the math. Okay, that moved him to here, and he's like, how are you keeping that up? I'm like, I don't know, but next time I'm taking a piece of paper, because it was a little stressful at the end trying to keep up with it, because I didn't want to say the wrong thing.
I got you.
But no, I'd love to come do it. I really enjoyed it. It was fun, you know, getting to be there and do it. So yeah, I've never been to Spain. That'd be fun.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. I think on the technical side of the house, I think, you know, it's, you know, you guys obviously are going to have a warm welcome to come along, and then, you know, I think between a lot of the other media crews, I think we can get quite a few folks there and get some pretty good. I know Travis Sheeta said, you know, with Connex Media is interested in coming out. I'm sure, you know, there's going to be quite a few other, probably Steve from Tacticaholics is probably going to want to come out. But I mean, I imagine there's going to be like 50 drones flying over this thing with cameras going everywhere. At least that would be the hopes.
Yeah. I think that'd be good. Let them do the high tech stuff, and I'll just do live streams because that's what I'm better at.
Let's say you do the talking, I'll get you on all the different places.
Yep, it'll be good. Well, do we have any more lives, Greg?
You know, I haven't been over there for a little while. Looking at the lives, we are definitely international in viewers. We have comments. I don't know what they say.
No, we're gonna have a matchbook in 30 different languages.
Oh man,
That's pretty good. That's better. At Mammoth, didn't they have people last year that didn't speak English and couldn't read there were cards or something, and they couldn't read them?
It's kind of interesting how they did get like signed up for a US rifle match and they can't read English.
I don't know. That's just what I heard, that they couldn't. They did some color coded stuff too, so I guess they could. That was easier. I'm not sure. I wasn't there for that one this year. I wrote it. I wasn't there for that one, but they said that there were some guys that didn't speak English at all.
Maybe they only spoke crayon.
We were Marines.
I was about to say the Marines were there this year.
Oh man.
but yeah, we
So, yeah,
got
I
a
think-
bunch of people saying that they're gonna shoot. Lots of interest in the 223 and the 308 classes.
Good. That's the.
I'm really looking forward to trying to see if you know, we haven't gone that whole route of trying to grow our juniors and create an outlet for that, and to see the junior shooters and the ladies and the seniors, and actually have a proper division for them, duking it out against each other on the clock is going to be pretty damn cool as well.
I hate to break it to you. We're
Yep.
gonna win the junior shooter category.
Yeah. You know,
We got a force to be reckoned with there.
We've got some in your passport department, and it's not going to let it come.
There's going to be a subsection somewhere. If you won a national level match, you're only allowed in open.
Yeah.
She might
No,
win
man, that's gonna
that.
be cool. I mean, she's like a worldwide hero. I mean, Allison's doing so well. It's just awesome to see. It's really like, wow, that is so cool. I think there must be so many people rooting behind her. It's from South Africa's point of view, there are a lot of guys talking about her, going, wow, look at this, look, wow. It's very cool.
We lost our shit over here in Sweden when she won that match. Everyone was like,
it's
what
very
the
cool.
fuck?
So did all the dudes that she beat. All the great men.
Yeah, everybody's like, we're all kind of like, uh-oh.
To say I had four
they-
group conversations and instantly explode. I forgot what I was doing. It was one of those things I was like super concentrated on. I'm like, leave me alone. Let me get this. Also, I'm like,
so it's the only one trophy that we actually just get to pre-engrave before we send it over.
exactly.
I think the team trophies, we were talking about those this morning, and I think those things are going to be the size of a Volkswagen. They just keep getting bigger all the time, which I'm okay with. I like big trophies. So
you just got to remember, everybody besides for like 5 people have to fly home with them.
Well, that one's probably going to have to get DHL'd. I mean, and then, at some point in time, we'll have to figure out where that trophy goes, but it'll literally be one trophy, but it'll have we're thinking about having little plaques. Okay. So the names are on there, and it's just going to keep going around the base of the trophy. So, it's kind of an immortal thing. It's not a one-time deal. Oh yeah, look at this trophy I got. No, that trophy's going to travel.
Nice.
It's gonna be a big thing to hold that trophy. I mean, it's gonna be every 2 years somebody gets to fight for it. Everybody gets to fight for it, and your name gets put on there. Your country's name gets put on there. The team names, the 4 shooters who are part of the team of the country that won there, they'll be immortalized on that trophy forever. That's cool.
That's very neat. So any of the lives that you can read?
Let's see. Keith Baker said we got the junior shooter cover.
Actually, we got Sam Millard or Jake Millard. There's quite a few guys out here in the West Coast that are youngsters that can lay it down. So I'm excited for that, actually.
Yeah, there's some strength there. There's some strength in the ladies too. You've got Regina, Allison, depending on which way she goes. You got Jacqueline.
Yeah. Yep, Jacqueline and Andy Kloniger and Miss Allen. That's just 4 that I could think of. I'm sure it's going to be a battle royale there too, because all those ladies I think Regina's won a couple of national matches, and so does Miss Allen. And yeah, I mean, it's going to be tough. Yeah. Keely Lilly. So yeah, I mean, it's on.
That's one of the things we're hoping to grow in Sweden, because we don't, with our gun laws, it's kind of hard to send a junior team because you have to be 18 to own a rifle unless it's blah, 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 blah. But we also not sure we have we have had the occasional female at a match, but it's nothing regular.
It's the women have really, really grown in the U.S. lately. I mean, I can't remember how many were at the finale this year. But the way it fell and the way they were qualified, there were multiple, because some of them shot as juniors. There were a lot of us there. I want to say it was more than 10 that shot in the finale this year.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I
want to say it was like 13 or 14 of us. We were all on one squad. I think it was about 13 of us.
And then Tom Fuller.
And Tom Fuller was on
it. Tom was on the ladies' squad?
Yes. He was.
I knew it.
We're the most awesome squad ever, though.
That would have been hilarious. Tom is super funny.
Mhm.
He doesn't take himself that seriously, which is so refreshing.
Yep. We did have the best squad, I will say. We just had fun the whole time and all encouraged each other, and
Mhm.
it was awesome. All right. Well, are there any other lives?
But we good.
Good on the lives. All right. Well, then I think that we can wind this down to shout outs. So we just do shout outs and you can shout out whoever you want. Greg, we'll let you start.
Yep, I have GSL and Classic Jewelry and Loan for helping me do all that complicated, expensive paperwork. Shooters and Sharpshooters of Augusta, our local indoor ranges. PDC Custom for the most beautiful rifle chassis known to man, as seen behind me. Shooter's World Powder. It's you could still find it, and they have more coming. They're an importer, so there's a bunch that's on its way over here now. So we expect the shelves to be flooded again with Shooter World Powder here in the next couple weeks. Hunter's HD Gold because I'm blind and I feel less blind while wearing them, and Vortex to keep my rifle squeaky clean, or at least moderately clean every once in a while. That's my fault, not the fault of the products.
Oh, all right. We'll go around. Marcus, what you got?
I don't know what to shout out. Thank you to International Barrels for helping me out with barrels. More than that, I don't know what. Gunsmith who keeps not being pissed off at me because I ask stupid questions. Actually have some patience. But yeah, that's about it. I guess Matt, yours about the same thing for you, Scott.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to hit Matt. Is it my turn?
Yeah,
Sure.
also.
Okay, all right. Yeah, Sawtooth Rifles, Night Force, Proof, Trigger Tech, Defiance, Machine, MDT, and again, Vortec and Nosler. Nosler keeps me in pills, which is awesome. Even right now, it's I have to kind of bag, borrow, and steal, but we're still getting bullets. So those are the primaries, and then of course I'd like to shout out to the crew of the IPRF for all the work they've been doing, and it's just starting, actually, unfortunately.
Yeah. Oh, I also forgot. Like, thank you to the Swedish distributor of Hornady bullets who supply me with bullets.
It's very important to have bullets. It's helpful.
Yeah, it helps.
Tiff, how about
Tiff?
you?
Yeah, no, I'd just like to shout out to Leopold for sort of ongoing support this side, and AI obviously, and Bagara for sponsoring the Precision Rifle League as the headline sponsor for the last couple of years. They're great, and obviously we're hopefully going to be on one of possibly their home ranges, which will be great with the World Championship. So it's looking really good, really good. So yeah, just as those guys as a initial, keep it short, and also thanks for all the guys for putting up with us. And well, it's gone really well so far for the last 3 odd years. We've managed to pull it off so far, and we only got a little stumbling block of like 900 people to a European country in the middle of a global pandemic to sort out with a load of firearms. I mean, there's nothing left to do really.
Easy day.
Yeah.
Walk in the park.
Yeah.
No, Rob.
Just a big thanks to the guys. I mean, the IPF team so far has been amazing. I mean, the guys coming on board in every single country so far. All the new guys looking to come on board. Hook us up on give me on email at membership at precisionrifle.org. We've got a lot of countries coming on board to join us. A lot of guys reaching out. Don't be scared. Get a hold of me, and we'll try and help you guys out as much as possible. To sponsors wanting to get involved, talk to Scott Sadley. He's the guy. so Scott's got to handle all that side of it. But big thanks out to the guys. It's been an incredible journey so far, and I'm looking forward to going on to the next stages.
Awesome. And for me, I just want to shout out all of y'all for coming on and spending 2 hours of your evening for Scott and middle of the night for the others that got up out of the bed and kind of dealt with midnight, or not midnight, 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m. hours.
Hey, the sun's just coming up.
Oh my word. So we're gonna have a sunrise show. But anyway, thank y'all seriously for coming on and talking about it. And we'll definitely, if there's more news in 6 months, if y'all want to come on again and talk about where it's at that point, and get more information out, by all means, just hit us up and we'll be glad to have y'all on again for sure. So anyway, just thanks to y'all. And then thanks to Shooters of Augusta and Sharpshooters of Augusta, who've always supported me here. Night Force Optics, GSL Suppressors, HD Gold. I think that might be all for tonight.
Thanks, Jennifer.
Anyway,
Greg.
and that will be it for episode 326 of the Shooter's Mindset. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We'll see y'all next week.
Thank you.